Can you see me better now? Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
depends how
that's
I
good.
hold the
Morning service. So
mobile,
welcome.
because I've got it in one
And
hand,
a welcome
I've got the other
return
hand looking at
to our dear friend Clive.
service.
Oh, good.
Clive Kennard,
Most of the time you're going
who's
to
going
get a
to
view of
lead
the
most of our
ceiling.
service
But I
until
put
he's
it
had
down, you
enough.
see.
Good
Well.
stuff.
And when he's had enough, I'll take over, but until then, he's going to go good guns. He will also preach for us, and I'll read Torah, and we've got an alternative Haftarah. So we're going to have, I hope, both an inspiring and joyful morning. Shabbat Shalom.
Go for it.
Service 1.
Oh, Service 1,
105.
page 105.
As we say the prayers of our ancestors, help us, O God, to remember their faith and devotion, their joy and their suffering, and make us worthy of our heritage. May the tradition we have received live in us and pass from us to generations we shall never know, enriched by the truth we have found and the good we have done. So may we fulfill our task on earth and receive our blessing. Recite with me. Eternal God, school us in your teachings and make us loyal to your commandments. May we never consent to evil or surrender to temptation or self-contempt. Help us to rise above selfishness and make us responsive to the voice of conscience. Direct our every impulse to your service. Today and every day, may we merit kindness and compassion in your sight and in the sight of all who behold us, and let us know your love. We praise you, O God, for the love you daily show us. 107 at the bottom for songs of praise. I'll be reciting these in Hebrew. Baruch Shema v'haya olam, Baruch Hu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamhulal b'fi amo, meshubach umfo'al b'shon chasidav v'avadav. Bishvachot uvizmirot, negad lecha, licha malkeinu yachidchei haolamim, Baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulal batishbachot. I will exalt you, my sovereign God.
Praise your name forever.
Beginning each day with praise.
I will extol your name forever.
Cause us to see your greatness is beyond us.
Eternal One, forever to be praised.
Declaring your works to each generation.
We will bear witness to your mighty acts.
Even as they speak of your splendor.
So I will meditate on your wonderful deeds.
For as they tell of your awesome might.
So I will recount your greatness.
Great is your goodness, which they celebrate.
As they sing of your righteousness.
Holding us in your grace and compassion.
You are patient and abounding in love.
In your goodness, eternal God.
You have mercy on all your creatures.
Joyfully your work shall thank you.
And your faithful ones shall praise you.
Knowing how great is your majesty.
They proclaim your might.
Let all humanity perceive your power.
And the glorious splendor of your redemption.
Mighty is your rule and everlasting.
Your reign endures in all generations.
O God, you support the falling.
And raise up all who are bowed down.
Pleading, all look in hope to you.
And you give them their food in due season.
Quietly you open your hand.
And satisfy the needs of every living creature.
Righteous are you in all your ways.
And loving in all your deeds.
So near are you to all who call upon you.
To all who call upon you in truth.
The desire of those who revere you, you fulfill.
You hear their cry and help them.
Unceasingly our lips shall sing God's praise.
So may all creatures laud God's holy name forever.
Please stand. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ כי לך נוי אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו שיר ושפחה הלל וזמרה ברכות והודאות מעתה ועד עולם ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בשירי זמרה.
Call to prayer, page 135, the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam. Please find a seat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvrei choshech, oseh shalom uvrei et hakol, hama'ir la'aretz v'ledarim aleha berachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh b'reshit. Ma rabu masecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita maleh ha'aretz kinyanecha, titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, al merei or she'asita yif'arucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzeh HaMeorot. Great is your love for us, eternal God, and abundant your compassion. Please join in. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life. So be gracious to us and teach us. Incline our hearts to hear your words, to know and understand, to learn and teach, and with love to uphold the truths of your Torah. Enlighten us with your teaching. Make us faithful to your commands, and wholehearted in the love and awe of your name. For in love you summon us to serve you and proclaim your unity. We praise you, O God. In love you have called your people Israel to serve you.
Stand for the Shrine Chord with Liberal Jewish custom.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
למען
תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, תהייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
I, the Eternal One, am your God. Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, Eternal One, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly, you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then, with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song. שירה חדשה שבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל קומם עזרת ישראל, גואלנו אדוני קדוש ישראל, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני very comfortable, but please stand.
Amidah, page 140.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agitei latecha. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agitei latecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu ve'Imoteinu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocheh Chasei Avot V'imahot, ומביא גאולה לבניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל, מחכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדום מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמרת על חיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים.
נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech haaretz levodo.
כבודו מלא העולם.
Baruch kavod Adonai mimromo.
ממקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך.
Melech Adonai leolam, Eloi Tzion.
דור ודור, hallelujah.
Please recite with me. From generation to generation, we will make known your greatness. To the end of time, we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. We praise you, Eternal One, the Holy God. All comfy? Good. You inspired our ancestors to hallow out this day for your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate your life, we learn anew that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to your influence. We thank you for the Sabbath day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. May our worship help us to take into your hearts its message of holiness and consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful, and good.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבות, כל נאורי שבות. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבות, כל נאורי שבות. מקדש Shabbat, mekadosh hu. Whoops, yizagul mitzuvecha, yismechu במלאכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת קורא, עונג שבת, ני 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 במלאכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת קורא, עונג שבת. Schwierat Sisaboi, Sisaboi, Vekina, Schneider, nein, 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 nein. Yamim, oi, soy, oi, karasa. Ismechu, v'malachotzecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat, v'korei, Shabbat, Ismechu, v'malachotzecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat, Oinek Shabbat. Zeichen maser, 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 reishi Shabbat. Zeichen maser, maser, reishi Shabbat. One more time, Yismechu, v'malachotzecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat, v'kol. Oinek Shabbat, ya, Yismechu, v'malachotzecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat, korei, oinek Shabbat.
It's a good one, isn't it? Our God and God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Shabbat enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its praise. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Shabbat. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amachai Yisrael utfilatam ba'ava tekabel utehila ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai she'otcha levadecha b'yira na'avod. In English, we give thanks that you, Eternal One, are our God, as you are the God, the rock of our ancestors. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives, which are in your hand, for our souls, which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due.
Shalom. Shalom.
grant peace, welfare and blessing, grace, love and mercy to all of us and to Israel, your people. As a loving parent, bless us with the light of your presence. For by the light of your presence, eternal God, you have revealed to us the law of life, a love of kindness and righteousness, blessing and mercy, life and peace. For it is good in your sight that your people, Israel, and all peoples be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. There will now be a moment of quiet reflection.
The reading of the Torah, page 481.
Okay. Do we have our mitzvah?
They'll come,
people?
don't worry. You just
Okay.
carry on. You just do the reading.
Okay. What I do the Enkamoch. Okay.
Ein kamocha vo Elohim Adonai vein kamasecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim umemshaltecha v'chodor evador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch leolam vod Adonai oz le'amo yiten Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Einu gadol Adonenu kadosh shemo.
Gadolul Adonai iti, u'neramama shemo yachdav. You can either sit up here or go and sit in the front row, whatever you want to do, whatever you prefer. Thank you. So, as I think you're now aware, I think the Torah and the Haftarah reading, not only the Torah reading, Torah and Haftarah reading, are for me the pinnacle of the service, because they give me an opportunity to teach something, or to give a sermonette. And sometimes you get 1, 2, 3, or even 4 sermons, all for the same price on the same morning. I tried to say something about the Torah portion, which I think has to have some relevance, or it's a bit of a pointless exercise going through it, in my view. I accept there are other views about that. It's not my view. And by the way, that's why the early liberal rabbis picked a piece of Torah. They didn't read the Torah in order. They picked a piece they wanted to preach about, or talk about, or give a message to their communities. I think it's possible very often to find a message or something important to say within the regular cycle. So that applies equally to the Haftarah. And today we're going to have a Torah that I'm going to bring you a message from the Torah and a message from the Haftarah. And then our student rabbi will preach, so you'll get really a pucker, proper sermon, as opposed to one of my sermonettes. And this portion begins, it's Parashat Ekev. And Ekev is a tiny, and here I'm going to teach you a first lesson that you may or may not know about the Hebrew language. The Hebrew language doesn't have many words compared to the English language. So many words have a root, and the root gets expanded out to mean many things. And here's just one example. Today's portion is called Ekev. And it begins Vahaya Ekev, and well, it's nearly impossible to translate, actually, but I'm going to translate it for you. Ekev is a tiny little prepositional word that means as a consequence of, or as a result of, something like that. And if you're doing any Hebrew study, you need to try and find out what the origin of this word is, or does it simply just mean that? And if you look up the root ayin kuf vav, ayin kuf vet, if you look at ayin kuf vav, you won't get very far. Look up ayin kuf vet, and you come across a root which means, has something to do with putting one's heel down. Now, how do we make that connection? Well, if you think about ayin, so a, k, v, who's the person you can think of who has that in his name? Yaakov. Yaakov. And what do we know about the story of Jacob? What's he got to do with the heel?
Oh,
He's got twins fighting in his, yes? He's got...
Jacob held onto the heel of...
He's got yeah, thank you. Rebecca's got twins fighting in her womb, it says. And it says Esau emerges first, and then Jacob comes out holding the heel of Esau. Right? This struggle, they're both trying to get out first, presumably. Don't know whether that's possible twins to do, but that's the story. And then, in fact, as they go off to do quite different things. Esau is the man of the forest, the man of hunting, the one who doesn't really think about the future, thinks only about his immediate hunger. He's the favourite of his father, and who eventually sells his birthright when he's hungry and comes back from a day's hunting. Jacob is seen as the more, in machismo terms, the more wimpy one, the thoughtful one, the one who sits in his tent thinking, the one who is the favourite of his mother, and who also cheats his brother out of the birthright, and then cheats his dying father by putting on animal skins and pretending that he's really Esau when he's in fact Jacob. And although Jacob has to emerge as our hero, because Esau goes off and becomes the tribe of Edom and then is symbolically Roman, all sorts of other things, the oppressor, Jacob comes out as has to come out as our hero. Struggling with God, hence he gets the name Yisrael, the person who struggles with God. I still didn't look it up, though. I said, when I preached at the chaplaincy, I do Wednesday mornings for all the chaplains, and I talked about, none of them are Jewish, usually, but I always teach them something about Hebrew and the Hebrew Bible.
I'm not very impressed with him, I must say.
They're not allowed to say that very loud.
He fancies himself as I can't.
You know, there's an English phrase. If you describe something as a heel, you describe
I
them as
haven't got-
that's a negative term. And I don't know, because I forgot to look up, even though one of the chaplaincy team actually gave me a book which says English phrases and where they come from. I still haven't managed to look up whether the phrase to be a heel in English comes from this Jacob, comes from being a bit sneaky, a bit of a, you know. Anyway, Parashat Ekev has nothing to do with Jacob. It's simply the Ekev word, this tiny little word, has gone from being the root to having something to do with one's heel to being as a consequence of. Now you can see how they get there, but that's how it is. So Ekev begins as a consequence of in Deuteronomy 7:12. And it begins with a rather difficult theology for us, which is why we don't read the second paragraph. Those of you who are from families or from traditions, and remember the old days when the Shema used to, if you were brought up as a liberal like me, you didn't even know there were 2 other paragraphs of the Shema. But if you remember from your old days, if you're from an Orthodox community, there were 2 additional paragraphs of the Shema. We only do the final bit. One is about a theology, and the other is about tzitzit. But the one about the theology says, if you obey God and do all God's things, things will go well for you. And if you don't, I'll stop up the rain and all those types of things. Very difficult theology. And the liberals, personally, I think we're right to say this is not a modern theology which we wish to reflect upon. And no doubt if you were a Jewish farmer in the Sudan and you had drought for 70 years, or however many years you've had drought, it wouldn't be very good to say I've been a faithful Sudanese divine worshipper, da-da-da-da. And yeah, so that's the theology. But that is the theology that comes here very clearly. If you do the right thing, you get your reward. By the way, we also know that's not true in modern life. Never mind farmers and natural things. We know that some of us work very hard and don't get the reward we thought we'd get, and other people seem not to work and they get quite a lot of rewards that we might have wanted to have. So we know the theology doesn't work, at least individually, and arguably doesn't work in the natural world. If you have a strong view about life after death, maybe you think it all is corrected in some hunky-dory world, where everybody gets a kosher banquet and all of those things, but we have a problem with that theology. And it appears in Ekev. It says, you obey and you'll prosper. It also says, don't worry about the numbers of people you'll find in Canaan. If you just remember, God will depend, and you're dependent, God will look after you if you observe what should be observed. I'll come back to chapter 9 in a minute, but chapter 10, remember this is Moses going over the old history again, talks about the golden calf, and in 11 talks about keeping and conquering the promised land. The bit I'm going to read to you today, however, is the bit that I like the best of this portion. That's why I select it. I don't look at, I keep to the portions generally, in fact, nearly exclusively, but I don't look at whatever liberal Judaism selects very often. I look at it, but I don't usually necessarily pick it. I look at what do I want to read about, what do I want to say to you, what I want you to be thinking about. And in this little piece we're going to read, which is chapter 9, verses 1 to 9, maybe a bit further, maybe a bit less, it's a warning against self-righteousness. Because the text says, okay, you're Jews and you do the right thing, you get the right rewards, but don't ever think this is all about you. And even when we're conquering the promised land, God says to the Israelites, this isn't about your merit. It's just they were even worse than you. It's very interesting. It doesn't say, I picked you because of here. It doesn't say I picked you because the merit of your ancestors, or because you were the smallest in number. This time it says, I'm picking you and you'll be successful because the others are worse than you. Which is a very interesting idea. One might argue that's how our current government got into the position it got into. Not there was great enthusiasm for, it certainly wasn't I doubt the level of enthusiasm was reflected in the number of seats that Sir Keir Starmer eventually got. But somehow there was a reaction against others. You're not as bad as the others, or you might be a bit better than the others. And the modern message is, in whatever way we are chosen or selected, it may not be wholly on our own merit. Of course we have merit. If you study hard and you pass an exam, that's merit. If you work hard and build something, that's merit. If you're elected or selected for an office or job, it's partly based on merit. But it isn't only based on your own merit and goodness. And even assuming it's not because the other people were terrible, you might be picked from loads of good people. Some of it we luck, chance, genetics, all sorts of other things come into play. And it reminds those of us who have positions of responsibility, positions of leadership, positions where we're chosen, all sorts of ways that we can always be a bit modest about why we got there. Of course we celebrate hard work, of course we celebrate achievements, but let us never forget, which is what this bit of the portion I'm going to read you about, that somehow it's not all about our own efforts, important though they are. I think that's probably all I want to say to you. The vocabulary is not particularly difficult, except for the one word that I really can't work it out. Maybe my student can. Just doesn't seem to make sense to me about quite how it's to be understood. But anyway. So, we're going to read from whatever I just told you, Parashat Ekev, Deuteronomy 9. Ya'amod Shlomo Avraham ben David Yitzhak likro brachot laTorah. I've got to set it first. There's the Ten Commandments from last week. I will do. Yeah, I found it now. I need you to hold that bit probably.
Baruchu et Adonai hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai hamrach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bacha banu mikol ha'olamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. I just realised I haven't found it. Thought I had. Yes, I have now. So it begins as something you know well. Shema Yisrael. Listen, Israel. Ata over hayom et hayarden. You are today crossing the Jordan. Lavo, to go over there. Levishta, to possess. And who are you going to possess? Goyim gdolim. Va'atsumim. Great nations and powerful ones. And then it says, Mimeka, more powerful than you. Arim Gdolot, great cities. Utsarot Bashamayim, fortified, built up, as far as the heavens. Am Gadol, and a great people, Varam, great and numerous people. Ram can mean high in numbers or high in power. And they're called Bnei Anakim, the sons of Anak. Asher ata yadata, whom you already know. Because if you remember, when the spies went into the land, they reported back about these Bnei Anak, these giant type people. Va'ata shamata. And you heard somebody say, Mi yitzatzev lifnei v'nei banak. Who will stand up before the sons of Anak? And now you have to put in a now here. Now, v'yadata hayom, and know today. Ki Adonai Elohecha hu ha'over lefanecha. Adonai your God will go with you, will cross with you, before you. Eish ochlahu. I was going to say an edible fire, that's not what I mean. A fire that eats up. Eish ochla. A consuming fire. Yashmidain, that will destroy them. Bahu yachni'ain lefanecha. Now I didn't know this root, I had to look it up. It's to be humbled. So they'll be humbled before you. V'harashtem v'havatatem meha maher. And they will be dispossessed. See, the same root, yarash, means to both possess and to dispossess here, just in a different form, a passive form. So, and they will be dispossessed and they will be destroyed quickly. Ka'asher diber Adonai lach, just as Adonai spoke to you. Al tomar bilvavacha, and do not say in your heart. Oh, now I know why I couldn't find this word. Is it a dalit or a reish? Is it chadaf or chadof or charof? It is a dalit, isn't it?
Because of race.
Yeah. So the reason why I couldn't find the root is because I thought it was a reish when I was doing my studies. It didn't look properly. But now I see in the Torah itself, which is very unusual. Usually you look at the other one, and then you have to work out what's in the Torah. Here I've just worked out from the Torah what the... So it's a... B'chadaf Adonai Elohav. Otam milfanecha. And now that makes more sense to me because the meaning for... I get it. I think I get it. No, I don't really understand what this word means here, to be very honest. So you can... anybody got an English translation? None of the English translations I looked at made a lot of sense to me. Go on then, what does it say? I want... let's have a look. We saw him here with him down. Speak not in thy heart. Oh, I see. Okay. Don't say in your heart, God's thrown you out. God's thrown them out before you, lemor, saying, no, I get it. But tzidkati hevianu Adonai lareshet et ha'eretz hazot. Don't say in your hearts, on our tzedek, because of our righteousness. Tzedek means righteousness, not really charity. It comes to mean charity later on. It really means righteousness. Not on account of our righteousness has God thrown these, has God brought us to possess this land. And then it's very interesting. It says, Uv'shat hagoyim ha'eleh. It's because of the evilness of the other peoples. Right? It's not your merit that you're inheriting this land. It's only because they're worse than you. Or because they're evil in some way, is the description. Morishim milfanecha, that God will enable you to possess it. And again, he said again, lo, but tzidkatecha, or is it tzidkatecha? Not on your merit. Uvishol levavacha, ata va'lareshet et artsam. Have I just read that bit? No. So again, it's repeated. It's not anything. It's not your righteousness, your straightness, your decency that's caused the other people to be dispossessed. And the phrase, and then it says, "Uleman hakim et hadavar asher nishma Adonai la'avotecha l'Avraham Yitzchak u'leYaakov." So here now becomes the more traditional reason about why we Jews have been chosen. It says, doesn't quite say the merit of your ancestors, but it says because this is fulfilling what God promised your ancestors. So you imagine you're a people on the point of a great victory, and God says to you, you're getting this because you just happen to be slightly better than them, and because I made a promise to your ancestors. Doesn't say anything about you as a generation. And then, as if that's not enough, Moses, acting for God, if you like, or speaking as God's spokesperson, then reminds the people what they're really like, particularly the desert generation and their ancestors, by saying, Zachor, remember, Al Tishkach, do not forget, Et Asher is it? He cuts. Again for me. Hiksafta, isn't it? Hiksafta, I think it is. Hifil, is it? Hiksafta et Adonai Elohecha b'midbar. Wonderful. That, so remember, don't forget, you provoked, it's a strong word here, provoked Adonai your God in the desert, lemin hayom asher yatzata me'eretz Mitzrayim. From the very day I took you out of Egypt, ad bochem ad hamakom hazeh, until today, until you're coming today to this very place. Mamrim heyitem im Adonai. You were rebels, it's a very strong word, rebels against God. And then we'll do a little bit maybe, but then Moses comes up with a catalogue of all the things that the Israelites did to provoke God. Here's the first one. Uva Chorev, which is Mount Sinai. At Chorev, Iktsaftem et Adonai. You provoked God. Vayit anaf Adonai bachem lahashmid etchem. You provoked God so much that God was angry enough, this is what Moses is saying, this is what God said, to destroy you. Not only were you faithless, you were so faithless and so provocative that God actually says to Moses, I'll get rid of them. And then Moses says, well, don't do that. It's not very good for your PR. God's PR, I mean. That's what he says, you know. What will the Egyptians say? This wonderful great God who saved these slaves and then destroys them in the desert. And he goes on now with a little reminder, we won't do it all, but about the golden calf. Ba'alti hahara, when I went up to the mountain, Mount Sinai, lakachat, to take luchot ha'avanim, the stone tablets, luchot habrit, the tablets of the covenant, asher karat Adonai imachem, that God was, you cut a covenant in Hebrew, that God was cutting, making with you. Va'eshev, I think it's Va'eshev bahar arba'im yom. This is Moses speaking. I remained in the mountain for 40 days, va'arba'im laila, and for 40 nights. Lechem lo achalti, I didn't eat any bread. Umayim lo shetiti, and I didn't drink any water. Vayiten Adonai Eli, and God gave to me et shnei luchot ha'avanim, the 2 tablets of stone. Kotvim be'etzba Elohim, written with the very finger of God. Va'alitem, and I came down to chol hadvarim, with all of these words, asher diber Adonai imachem, about which God had spoken you, bahar, in the mountain, mitoch ha'esh, from the midst of the fire, bayom ha'kahal, on the day of your assembly. And of course, what does he see? He goes on to talk about, we're not going to go any further now, he goes on to talk, see the golden calf. So, this is a very strong, you know, the tendency is when we win things and when we've got power and when things go our way, to be arrogant. Right? And this is a very powerful reminder against, a warning against arrogance.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam notat b'tachenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, let us be seated. And let me say something about the Haftarah. The Haftarah that we're into reading now are what are called Haftarah of consolation. Why do we have Haftarah of consolation? Taken primarily from the book of Isaiah. Why do we have Haftarah of consolation? What's the season we're in according to tradition? What did we mark last Wednesday or the Wednesday before? I think it was Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, right? Which is supposed to recall days of Jewish destruction. Well, I come from a tradition which didn't celebrate Tisha B'Av, mainly because most of it is mythical anyway, that all these things happened on that day, number one. But secondly, we're not a history only of destruction, we're a history of celebration, too. And thirdly, particularly concentrating on the temples, they were a different type of institution to the one that we have today, the synagogue. Anyway, so I thought, do I read yet another Haftarah of consolation, or do I find something else? And I thought I'm going to find something else based on the theme that I had. And so I'm going to introduce you to somebody called Rabbi Regina Jonas. She was probably the first woman rabbi to our, certainly the modern period. She was studied at the Hochschule in Berlin in the 1930s. She passed all her exams, and then some idiot male professors refused to sign her certificate. So she was initially never ordained as a rabbi. She was given a job looking after, she had one job in a Berlin shul, and another job she had was being a chaplain to an old people's home, which she did with great modesty, with great humility, with a lack of arrogance. She accepted the decision of her professors, although later on she was in fact ordained privately by Rabbi Dr. Leo Beck. She also went into Theresienstadt, the Czech. It wasn't really a concentration camp, it was a pretty unpleasant place, but it wasn't. A concentration camp was usually is understood to mean a place that was set up for the destruction of Jews. The one in Theresienstadt was really the old fortress built by Mary Teresa, the Empress, was really a holding camp before the people were sent on for destruction. So and it was a pretty awful place to be. But, pardon?
It was propaganda.
Well, it was initially not set up for as a kid. Some of them are set up, it has no trying to remember my visit. I don't think it has crematoria, and it wasn't set up for that purpose primarily. Yes, it was used. The Red Cross did a lovely visit, and the Nazis got all the Jews out playing games and having a theatre and all this nonsense, all of which was, of course, propaganda. It's not surprising that some people don't trust the Red Cross. I understand they fall susceptible to propaganda themselves, they fall susceptible to governmental pressure, but they produced this lovely film, which you can see in some parts of it in Yad Vashem, which show all these lovely, healthy-looking Jewish girls, they must have fed them pretty quickly, playing basketball and doing gardening and all the things that they did for 2 days till the inspection was finished. So yes, it was used propaganda. But anyway, the amazing thing about her, Rabbi Regina Jonas and Leo Beck, of course survived, Jonas died in the camps, was they continued Jewish teaching. So they acted as rabbis to this community who was stuck in this awful place. And I just happened to find in a book of alternative Haftarot just a short paragraph about her, from her that she wrote.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'neviim tovim, v'atzar b'divrei הנאמרים באמת. ברוך אתה אדוני, אברך בצורה ומשה עבדו, ובישראל עמו ובנביאי האמת והצדק.
Amen.
Our Jewish people was planted by God into history as a blessed nation. Blessed by God means to offer blessings, loving kindness and loyalty, regardless of place and situation. Humility before God, selfless love for his creatures, sustain the world. It is Israel's task to build these pillars of the world. Man and woman, woman and man alike, have taken this upon themselves in Jewish loyalty. Our work in Theresienstadt, serious and full of trials as it is, also serves this end. To be God's servants, and as such to move from earthly spheres to eternal ones. May all our work be a blessing for Israel's future and the future of humanity. Upright Jewish men and brave, noble women were always the sustainers of our people, May we be found worthy by God to be numbered in the circle of these women and men. The reward of a mitzvah is the recognition of the great deed by God. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol ha'olamim, tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'neman, ha'omer v'osei hamdaber v'mkayim shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah v'al ha'neviyim v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh. V'nasach lanu Adonai Eloheinu l'kedusha v'limnucha l'chavod v'latiferet. Al ha'kol Adonai Eloheinu אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Amen. So just to make the connection, the Torah reminds us our task's not about anything that we ourselves are, it's what we do with our lives. And even in Theresienstadt, you notice Regina Jonas doesn't talk about resistance or even fighting or how unfair it is. She says the Jewish mission remains what it has always been, even when they attack us, even when they're horrible to us. It's to seek to be a blessing not only to ourselves but to the whole world. It's a very powerful message through Regina Jonas. Community prayers, thank you.
Okay. Our God, whose dominion is everlasting, we ask you to bless our sovereign Lord, King Charles, and all the royal family, and to send guidance to all those who govern this country. Help us to be good citizens working together for justice and peace at home and abroad. Bless this holy community and all holy communities, and support the life and work of all who labour for their welfare. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessing on the state of Israel and all who live there. Give wisdom and understanding to its leaders, and friendship and compassion to the people, so that there may be lasting peace in its borders and in its homes. Soon may your promise be fulfilled, for Torah shall come out of Zion and the word of God from Jerusalem. We ask you to listen to our prayers and look on us kindly, supporting those who are troubled, consoling the bereaved, sending relief to those in pain or anxiety. As you blessed our fathers Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, and our mothers Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel and Leah, bless our own congregation, all other congregations gathered in prayer, and everyone who responds to the needs of the community. May such be the divine will, and let us say,
Amen. Hallelujah. Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado. Page 489. Behold, a good doctrine has been given you. Do not forsake it. It is a tree of life to those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Help us to return to your God, then we shall return. Renew our days as in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natalie, for the lovely music, and for Rabbi Danny for giving me this opportunity to speak to you today. Shloimi loved being punctual, but was running late for a meeting. He was stuck in traffic and could not find anywhere to park. The digital clock on his Toyota Yaris, sounds Jewish, right, was blinking close to the hour. 08:54 a.m. He had driven round the block many times, but just misses the spaces. 08:55 a.m. it blinks. After losing another spot to a fancy Tesla, Shlomi resorts to the supernatural. Oh God, imports Shlomi, who created the world's greatest and smallest things. I beg you, please, just provide a parking spot so I am not late. 08:56, Shlomi starts to bargain. Inadvisable, we can discuss the Bible story of Jephthah sacrificing his daughter another time. And he says, I will mend my ways. I'll be kind. I'll be more patient with my kids. I'll help more at home. 08:57 a.m. You can tell he's getting much more desperate. I'll come more regularly to shul. I'll fix my fees. I'll get onto the security rota. I'll piously fast on Mondays and Thursdays. I will volunteer for mitzvah day. Just please to help me find a parking spot. Just then, as if a miracle, a red Ford Fiesta pulls out of a space, and Shlomi quickly, gingerly, reverses into it. He said to God, okay, God, don't worry, never mind. The Torah portion is Akev, and it's a difficult text that we just heard, where Moshe cohorts the Israelites to remember their blessings. Perhaps he is bitter. Perhaps he is laying on the last word because he's at the end of his journey. His people will get to the promised land, and he will die without doing so. That was a punishment for hitting the rock, if you remember, to bring forth a source of water, and calling the Israelites, as he did again, you rebels, rather than speaking to them like adults. Moses reminds them of their endless complaining, their sin of the golden calf, when he was up Mount Sinai, as we just heard, and how he broke the tablets of stone and pled with God to save his people from destruction. His stubborn and stiff-necked people. Moses recalls his frustrations with their complaining over providing food and water, of their self-conscious fear of the sons of Anak, those demigods, and demigods is right, demigods of the land that made them feel so inadequate. He was, in summary, reminding them of their lack of attention to the protections and blessings that God had bestowed on them, and the gifts of abundance that God will bestow on them as they enter the land of Eretz Yisrael. The verse of the land's abundance is as follows. For the Lord will bring you into the good land, a land of water brooks and springs, a land of wheat, barley, figs, dates, pomegranates, land of olives, oil and honey. And you'll remember these fruits from Tu B'Shvat, the festival of the trees, where we eat all of these things. A land without scarcity. You will want for nothing. Iron ore will come up out of the rocks, and from the hills you will extract copper. And you will eat, be satisfied, and bless the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. And so he says the verse that we recite in grace after meals. V'achalta, v'savata, uve'rachta. You remember this? Yeah. V'achalta, you will eat. V'savata, you will be satisfied. Uve'rachta, and you will bless. And then the warning that Rabbi Danny gave so well just now. Take care of yourselves, in case you forget the Lord your God. Forget his mitzvot and commandments, in case you eat and be satisfied, and dwell in the fancy homes you build. Literally, when you have eaten your fill and have built the fine houses to live in. And you could tell Moses repeated the familiar words, you will eat and be satisfied. Tochal, achalta, v'savata, and be satisfied. But instead of saying uve'rachta, and you will bless with bracha, it says v'yashavta, you will dwell. It's a simple enough message for the righteous individual. Bless. Be thankful for the source of your blessings. Uve'rachta. Our word for blessing, resh, bet, resh, kaf, is the same word for brecha, the reservoir or the source of all our goodness. In a moment, and it will come very soon, we're going to say our brachot in Kiddush for the fruits of the vine, You can sing with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hakofen. And hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. This biblical section of text, Va'achalta, V'savata, U'verachta, is a source text for remembering to bless God, which we say before and after eating and drinking, and not to forget God once your blessings are assured. The chapter repeatedly brings this message home with what it described as a test of the manna, the food that arrived daily to sustain the Israelites in the wilderness, where they had nothing to eat. In verse 16, he reminds them of the one who fed you the manna in the wilderness, which your ancestors had never known, in order to test you by the hardships, only to benefit you in the end. And again, he drives this home. You will say in your hearts, my own power, my own might of hand have won this wealth for me. Nechama Leibovitz asks, why is the manna nasotcha, your test? Surely the manna was a miraculous gift. Sforno comments that the manna is a test of two types. It occurs twice. Both a test of how you approach God in times of plenty and times of need. For the Israelites in the desert when they grew nothing. In other words, the duality is as follows. Will you forget God as the source when you are in need? On the other hand, will you forget God when things are going well? When you are complacent, sitting at home and used to it? We know from times of hardship or when we are so broken-hearted and bereaved that we don't want to think of religion. Those who cannot afford a faith-based community and habits, who don't have their basic Maslowian needs to function, how are you to bless then? At the same time, we know that in times of plenty, we could easily be seduced by our own successes, drawn into complacency, decadence, and decline. More generally, the bitterness that comes with forgetting how to be thankful. As a community, how do we make provisions for the spiritual life of both? I think the answer is making the community a space for Shabbat, for rest and reconciliation. This is why Rashi in Exodus says the manna is a test to observe the Shabbat, as the children of Israel were commanded to go on Friday to gather double the manna, but on Shabbat not to gather. Indeed, some have the tradition to have 2 loaves of challah to remember the double portion they were commanded to take on Friday. But the liberals don't do this for other reasons. The liberals do, however, celebrate Shabbat in the strongest possible terms, and we conclude on how we are to find its relevance today. In the interwar era, our founder, Lily Montague, created a club for children and young adults on Dean Street, recognizing that Shabbat home observance was being diminished because of factory shift work. She saw that they needed a Shabbat service, not in the morning, but in the afternoon, and she writes this in My Club and I. She reasons that young factory workers will neglect the homely nature of Shabbat on Friday nights out of necessity. And following the discourses on youth clubs at the time, she had much anxiety about saving a sense of morality of family and domestic life. And I won't dwell on the moral Victorian values that she was so worried about. Her liberal point, though, was that spiritual provision must be endowed pragmatically, without orthodox legal quibble. That was her word. So that people in need can worship and seek a spiritual life to recreate themselves at the end of the week. As for Shlomi and his Toyota Yaris, it was such a strange but recognizable way of remembering and forgetting God. We know we have to make time to bless, to find the source of our life, the brecha, not out of a sense of the supernatural in times of crisis, rather to habituate ourselves in genuine gratitude for the gifts we are given, to give ourselves time to stop and count our blessings, our brachas, regularly and often. Ve'achalta, ve'savata, uve'rachta. Eat, be satisfied, and blessed, so that we are habituated to appreciate the brachot, the blessings in our lives, to make our lives a blessing. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom. Toda rabba. As I said to you last night, for the small number we're here, Aleinu means upon us. The Aleinu section says upon us, is actually to be a blessing to the world so that the Messiah comes by tradition. That's what the Aleinu section is about. It looks to the future. Marge Piercy offered an alternative messianic vision, which we're going to use for the Aleinu. It's on page 213, and when you found it, perhaps you will stand. Page 213. Let us read together. And then all that has divided us will merge, and then compassion will be wedded to power, and then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then both men and women will be gentle, and then both men and women will be strong, and then no person will be subject to another person's will, and all will be rich and free and varied. And then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many, and all will share equally in the earth's abundance, and all will care for the sick and the weak and the old, and then all will nourish the young, and then all will cherish life's creatures, and then all will live in harmony with each other and earth, and then everywhere will be called Eden once again. Kaddish, page 524. Pleased to report that in the community, in our congregation, it's been a quiet week, but we do have yard sites. We think first of Ada Best, the mother of Jeffrey Best, and grandmother of Natalie Green and Tracy Levy, of Edna Lautman, the mother of Louise, of Frances Ritson, the mother of Sharon Berry, of Isaac Olduck, the father of Murray, of Jack Katzenell, the brother of Brenda Masters, of Louis Martin, the husband of Joyce and the father of Julia Humphrey, of Philip Joseph, the father of Ruth Deitch, and of Susan de Park Braham, the sister of Sharon Berry. As we think about them and what they contributed to making the world a better place, sharing with them the objective that we too, in our turn, will leave the world a little better than we found it. We're thankful for life, and together recite the Kaddish on page 524. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba, b'alma divra chirotei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kari v'imoru, Yehei shemei rabba mavorach le'olam ulmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'am v'ytomam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalel talal shemei d'kodisha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, ta'amiram v'alma v'moru. Yehei shalom araba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'moru. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'asei shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol b'nei Adam v'imoru. Amen. May great peace descend from heaven and abundant life be granted to us, to all Israel, and to all the peoples of the world. And let us say, Amen. So please be seated. The first thing is to say you're all invited to my home for lunch today to meet Clive. If you can only come for a short while, that's fine. If you need transport, we can fix that. You please don't need to stop and bring anything. We only have modest, but you'll have what we've got. We've got some nice cheeses, and we've got wine, and we've got some bread, and we've got some salad and something, and we've got some fruit. So come and join us. And nobody's booked in, because I haven't asked anybody until now. It didn't even, I only just asked Clive. So please feel free to join us. If you don't know where I live, you need to get my address, and I'm very happy to transport you. I've got 3 spaces in the back of my car, and I'm sure somebody will come who's got a car. Lovely, Sue's coming, you're coming, that's 3 of us, good. Anybody else like to come? We can get you home. Norma, great. Anybody? Nobody has to, but anybody who wants to is lovely. I don't always have the opportunity because I'm not always immediately available, but I've done a lot of entertaining since Laura's been away, simply to prove. She says, all these people keep ringing me and saying, how are you managing? I say, what do you mean, how am I managing? I can cook, I can use the dishwasher, I'm not allowed to use the dishwasher at the moment, and I can use a washing machine. What do you mean, how am I managing? Anyway, so be very welcome to join me. Anybody, just let me know. That's number one. Number two, next Friday, I'm on at, Emma and I are on at 6, isn't it? 6 for our musical service, much more informal, shorter, and it's light, so you can come early, and we're finished by 7. Shabbat morning, I think Cantor Rachel Weston will be on, but I'm not sure. Anyway, but I'll need to check that later on. But it certainly won't be me, because I'm afraid I'm in Stevenage, so we will need to find some other arrangement. But I think it is Rachel. So that's that. Nothing else. Cover our supper as normal. The third one, 5:45, start sharp, so we can finish by 8 of August. Oh yeah, but mitzvah on the 29th of August at Ben Young, thank you. Benjamin Young, I'll be officiating. And just to tell you, we have 10 B'nai Mitzvah. The first one was last week, and the last one is in February for this tranche. A new Siddur has been published, paid for by those families, by the way. And although I love it when the shul is full, with 100, 120, I also love it when there's a small intimate crowd. So come to both styles. But as I say, thank you, it's at the end of the month. Anything else we need to say now? That's right, if you need a machzor for the holy days, please, we don't ever have enough to give out, because, and anyway, you should have one at home, because you should be preparing all the month of Elul and over the... So buy your own copy. It's a great book anyway. You can order it from the office. We'll have it ready for you here. If you turn up without one, we're going to give you one with an invoice inside it. So it'd be much better if you did it in advance. And that, you can blame me for that, because that's my initiative. I don't really want lots of people here collecting money on the day, but you'll have an invoice inside. And by all means, just purchase it beforehand. We'll have it waiting for you. If you paid it, obviously you won't get an invoice in front. But if you turn up and say, can I have a book? The answer will be, we just don't have enough to give out to a number of people who remarkably don't seem to have their own machzor. And of course, some people bring a machzor that we don't use, that it's an Orthodox machzor. If they want to use it, that's fine. But and the only exception is if you're a visitor who turns up and really doesn't know the system, that's fine. But if you're one of our members, that isn't fine. And equally, if you're short of sight, you have a sight issue. We have a very small number of large print copies, but not very many. So again, if they're taken by ordinary people who could have bought their own and didn't, we don't have them when people who genuinely... You can't buy the larger versions, so that's why we keep a small number for people whose eyesight is poor, including mine that's getting worse when I'm trying to lead the whole service. So I think that's it. What are we going to finish with?
Well, Bertie told me that it's someone's birthday today.
Oh, yes.
Whose birthday? Thank you very much. So, this is completely unrehearsed.
Go for it.
I'm not sure it's going to work, but
We'll try it. As I melech shemo nikra, ki od hakol levado ribnora, v'hu haya v'hu hoveh, v'hu yeh b'tifara. Keep going, but quicker. V'hachbira, v'livashil b'tahli, Mizrah, Goli, v'tzuchev li b'yitzara, v'hu nisi u'manos li, manat kosi b'yom ekra, v'yado avki, hira, v'imruchi gaviyati, Adonai li v'lo era. And since, let us stand We're not allowed to wish somebody happy birthday that doesn't want their birthday noted, so we haven't. But simply this, as we all mark birthdays and try to live our lives as best we can, may we have this in our mind. B'yado afkid ruchi, eiti shan va'ira, v'im ruchi giviyati, Adonai li v'lo era. Into your hand I place my soul, asleep awake for you are near, and with my soul my body too. You are my God, I shall not fear. Shabbat shalom.